Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Danny's Life and Travel. And we've had a very eventful week, putting it lightly. So today we're going to be talking about AMD again, as you've guessed. It's been a week to remember, let's say. So firstly, I want to just go through what I thought, what the setup was before the earnings drop. Everyone knows right now that it had, not the earnings drop, but the stock drop. The earnings weren't that bad, to be honest. But earnings were fine in my opinion. But we'll go into that in a moment. But firstly, I just want to do a quick overview of the setup. Why it was that we stayed in. What was it looking like? So let's just go on to 6-month chart. So this is the 6-month chart for AMD stock. So basically, the high was 15.5 on a daily, 15.2 on a monthly chart. So this is 6 monthly. So that's the high, and then it came down and it's going sideways here. So let's just put that into perspective. What was going on in this period here? So here we had the Ryzen launch. So this was just before the Ryzen launch, and then we had the Ryzen launch here, and the stock came down. Okay, because there were mixed reviews. Now if you look at all of this back here, all this was hype and momentum, and we also had the Trump trade. So Trump trade was in there as well. Then we had the issue with the Trump trade dying pretty much around this side. I don't know exactly what point, but the Trump trade pretty much died. He had the healthcare bill, which he couldn't pass, so that part went. After the rise of mixed reviews, it kind of dampened down on the momentum and the hype. So those are two things to remember. And then moving forward from here, we had about let's see. So you got May the 1st, so about April the 1st. Get there. So from around this point here, so this week was all meant to be good news. Good news. So like they had the refresh of the so they had Ryzen 5 launch first, then they had the refresh of the GPUs, and then we also had the annual stockholders meeting and then the shareholders meeting. So this week was meant to be brilliant. This month was meant to be brilliant here. So here you can see, firstly, everything gets dampened down, and then we're kind of moving sideways and starting to creep up here. And then what happens here is that we had around this part here, we had the Goldman Sachs downgrade that happened, and the stock goes down. And then it continues down because they put a price target of I think it was 11.6 at the time. Was it 11.6 or was it 11? I think it was 11. But anyway, they're just splitting hairs. But in the end, they put a low price target, so it started to go down. But historically, if you had to look at the stock itself, when it came down here, if you looked on the daily chart, what happened on a daily basis, it actually went down to 12.5, and it bounced back up. In fact, even Jim Cramer said that there's a lot of hot money in there. Let the hot money come out, and then it'll go back up. So that happened, right? And then here, basically the same thing happened, right? So my setup was my thinking before earnings was the support base, right? So your safety net, the support base is 12.5, right? Now I know it's broken through here for a day from 12.5, and then it comes back up again, but overall that's what it was hitting, and it was very reluctant to go below 12.5, right? So it's a very strong support base that I saw. So that was number one. So that's what I saw here. So you have a strong support base there, and then what other factors were there? So let's go back into just the earnings expectations. So I just want to try and give you a visual of what I'm looking at. So we had Q3 earnings, which were high. And remember, this is the best time for AMD. Q3 and Q4 for Christmas sales and New Year's sales, and back to school stuff as well, to some extent. So they're the strongest time frames for them. So they had a huge earnings beat there, then a slightly better than expected earnings beat there, and then if it's a pattern, isn't it? So it's coming down, and the next one you can see it should be in line. But then there was a surprise factor. So firstly the expectations in my mind were low anyway, right? And I thought that's already baked into the price. So hence, if that's already baked into the price, then you're okay. You're thinking at this point, where could it go? Worst case scenario goes down to 12.5. My buy-in is 11.6, and then it can go up from there. This was my thinking. This is what my setup was at the time, and I was thinking, okay, I can live with that. It's not a big deal. I'm still in profit by a little bit, and then it's okay. It gives it a chance to move up in the future. So very very small downside. Just to summarize, very small downside, and huge potential for upside, for earnings beat, and that's what I thought in my mind. Now, the issue was that when this earnings report came out, I listened to it. I read it. When it first came out, I listened to the earnings calls, and I listened to all the questions that were asked, and the analysts did push the CEO a lot on the margins, because I think that was the point that they were really stuck on, because the margins went down. I'm just going to try and pull up the actual earnings report. This is it here. So I'll just go through it with you guys, and you can see. So basically, revenue is of 984. So basically, when they had the other earnings, so let's go back to that one quickly. So you've got these earnings on was it in January, at the end of January, right? They did forward guidance on this one, and they always do forward guidance, and the forward guidance was that the next one will be down by 11% because it's seasonal, right? So this happens every year, so it goes down by 11%. So when you go back to the earnings report and you look at this number here, so if we look at what the overall number was, so let's see, where can we find that? It's a revenue of 909, up 18% over a year. Let's see if we can find it. I think it's at the top. Yeah, so here you go. So you got Q4 2016, so it's 1.11 billion. So you take 1.11 and then you divide it by 100 to get 100%, and then times it by 89. So that's minus 11%, right, to get to 100, and you come up with 98.79, and we actually beat that. We beat their guidance on revenue, and this is what people don't understand. They went for the negativity, but they didn't look at the little fine details, which was, number one, they beat on revenue, right? Not by much, but still it was a beat. Okay, so that's number one thing to consider. And remember, if you're expecting it to be basically, it's going to be spot on, which they're saying, we're going to have a down month, and you get a down month, and it is exactly what they say it is, then the stock price shouldn't move, neither up nor down. If there's some hype in there, right, let's say there's some hype, okay, go down by 5%, go down by 7%, even 10%, right? That's okay, because there will be some element of the market where people will be forward looking, and they'll say, I think they're going to beat, and they're going to gamble on that. That's fine. But to have a drop of 27% in total now, so 24% on the day, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make no sense in any way. And this is what I'm trying to show, that it didn't make any sense. I mean, somebody actually messaged me on YouTube when in pre-market, when it was down by 7%, and they asked me, said, what do you think? Yeah, and I said, look, this is just a knee-jerk reaction, and it'll go back up, right? But what I didn't know is the next day that it would go down by huge, and that it would go down by 15% before the market opened, and even then I could have sold. But I'll just show you quickly on the chart, so just to correlate with what I'm saying. So yeah, 5 days, 5-day chart here. So when it went down on the open here, I could have sold out here and then waited a day. Normally what you do is if it goes down huge like this, which I didn't expect it to do anyway, you just wait. The next day there will be a dip like this. You buy on that dip, and then it'll rally up. Remember, if you look at long-term charts, where's it gone? 6-month one. Every time it has a straight line down, there'll be a dead cat bounce. That's what they call it, a dead cat bounce, right? Or there'll be a little bit. Yeah. I know I'm getting a little sidetracked. We're going to get back to the earnings report in a minute. But anyway, so it has a dead cat bounce. So what you should do is don't sell on this day when it's coming down. Sell on this day when it goes, the next day when it goes up. That's what you're meant to do, really. That's normal circumstances. But in this situation where it already gone down in pre-market by 15%, that could have been done, where you just sell out and then, sell out there, come back in the next day, buy in the dip, and then sell out here if you wanted to. That was a possibility. This one, you could have tried this one, but you really don't know how far higher up this will go, before it continues down. But the next day normally it does work. But anyway, this is all based on charts, and each individual stock is different. So this is just my observation with AMD. So it doesn't apply to every single stock, in the same way. There's different slight variations. But I'm just, because I've been watching this stock for quite a long time, and the price action it's had, that's what I've noticed. That's what happens. So anyway, I'll get back to the earnings report quickly. So we can see they beat actually on revenue. Okay, that's the first takeaway. And they actually said revenue was down 11% sequentially, and that's what happens. So it's a seasonal thing. There's no more Christmas sales at that time. We're in Q1, which is the lowest period. So they say non-GAAP gross margin was up 34%, which is a good thing, up 2% year over year. Great result. What I saw. I mean, it's positive. They're not saying they missed it. It's up. And operating loss was 29 million compared to operating loss of 68 million a year ago, and 3 million in the prior quarter. So, they're doing well. They've cut the operating loss by half. So they're getting better with managing that side of things. Net loss of 73 million compared to net loss of 109 million. Again, a huge improvement on a year ago. And then the what was it? That was the GAAP measures, and this is the non-GAAP. The non-GAAP in the end is similar kind of stuff, similar kind of story. They're doing better, but there's two issues here. One was that the loss per share is 0.04, which is exactly what the analyst expectation was. Where's that gone? Here, you see, so it says estimated earnings 0.04, actual earnings 0.04. So I don't know what people are complaining about. It's spot on. Okay, so there's that thing. And then if you look at the so if you look at the losses, so you got net loss of 55 million from a year ago, operating income 26 million in prior quarter. Yeah. So it's similar kind of story. It's just GAAP, non-GAAP measures, right? The other thing I realized is they have this seasonality thing where they have a lot of losses, or in this quarter, and then it kind of builds up slowly. It gets better. It's less losses. It's getting better and better. And then I think what they're going to be doing is by the time they get to Q4, they will be to be net profitable. So remember, one of the key goals of AMD, this is one of the key targets, is that they want to be net profitable by the end of the year. So if you look at where we got net loss of 73 million compared to net loss of 109 million a year ago and 51 million in the prior quarter. So if you think about that, that's a huge disparity, isn't it? So and they have 73 million loss. So and then last time in the last quarter they had 51 million, right? So in the last quarter they were losing less money than they are in this quarter, and that's due to seasonality. Again, we're talking about the Christmas sales, the back to school sales, all the rest of that, and the New Year sales. Because of that, right? So you have Q3 with the back to school sales, which is a little bit better, and then you've got the best results you get is in Q4, and I think this is what will happen. So we'll have the next quarter, which won't be amazing, it'll be kind of good, and then you'll have Q3, which will be even better, and then you'll have Q4, first quarter, so it's January, February time, 2018, right? They will be net profitable. That's what I think will happen. Okay, and this 51 million that they're talking about net loss, which was in January a few months ago, that will be gone. So it'll be zero. It'll be in positive territory. So I think they're on track. The other main thing was that they were guiding down on the margins. And margins, I think she's just being cautious, because remember what they're saying is it's going to be approximately. So right now margins were 34%, as we saw. Above it said 2% higher than previously in previous year, and then they basically they're going to have 33% for the next 3 months. So that's what they were guiding forward. I think that was a major issue with the analysts. People were asking questions, but why is that like that? And the key thing was, at the end of that questioning, they actually did say that she said, CEO said, we're not expecting huge margin growth. What we're expecting is 36 to 40%, and we'll get there, right? And I think what happened was, because of that statement, because she said that, and she said going forward over the longer term, we expect we don't expect huge. I'm trying to get the wording right, what she said, so word for word. And she said going forward over the longer term, we're not looking at huge margin growth. We're looking at 36 to 40%, and we think we can get there with the greater mix. And a big part of that mix was Naples, the server CPU, because they only have 1% of the server market, and there's a lot more money to be made in the server CPUs than there is in anything else. So I think that kind of really took people back. And what people thought was, and it's quite easy to think of this now, but I didn't realize that people would think of it this way at the time. People thought this was meant to be, AMD was meant to be a 2017 story of a company that beats and beats and beats and goes higher and higher and higher. But what this is looking like is you're going to have all the pain in 2017, the ramp up of all the products, and then as soon as you get into 2018, that's where all the rewards will be. Meaning that's where it'll show up with all the rewards, and that's where the stock price should really go up higher. That's what they thought, because that's where you'll have the higher margins, right? So you're making more money, and so hence you should be, so you shouldn't be in the stock right now because it's dead. There's no reason for it to go up because the margins are going to be going down, ramp up all the costing and everything. And that was, they had a cash flow of I think 1.2 billion, and they'd used 300 million in the past quarter, and there was the inventory thing as well. But that's understandable. I mean, if you're going to be ramping up something new, or if you're going to be, building up inventory when you're going to do new product launches, you're going to be spending money. You're going to have all that money tied up in inventory. So they had huge stockpiles of inventory, and they had the in the cash burn of 300 million, which people saw as a negative. I mean, this is what I was saying. It's all about perception. It doesn't matter about the earnings. It's about perception. So my perception from that was, okay, it's reasonable. They're doing what they need to do now, and it's fine. And I thought all these people are going to think, well, okay, all the pain and all the suffering is going to happen in 2017, and then 2018 we're going to, the stock price is going to go up. These people are crazy. Because don't you think the investors and the stock market can be forward thinking? Yeah, don't you think that they can see that coming? Don't you think that they're going to see, okay, yeah, in 2018 they're going to be profitable, so the stock price should go up, not down, right? We better buy in now to get those. We better get in early before we get there, right? But I think the people saw it the opposite. Thought, okay, this period is dead. We'll sell off, and then we'll come back in when when there's huge movement in margins and things are good. It's a safer play, fine. But to have a 24% drop in a day, that's crazy, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense on any level. And if you think people are not forward thinking, look at Tesla. Look at where Tesla is, right? This stock over 10 years, look at where it was. And this is all hype, this is all perception, this is all forward thinking. This stock at 285, where was that? 268. It was at 285 at one point. At 285 price point, it is priced for the company to produce 500,000 cars a year. They're not even there yet. I think they're not even at 200,000 yet, right? I think they did 90,000 last year, and still it's so far ahead because people are forward projecting. They're looking at the future and they're saying, yes, we think this company can do it, and that's fine. But if you say the same for AMD, nope. we get a huge decline, and it doesn't make any sense. So I think it will go up in the future. I think you got the second quarter that looks slightly better, but then third quarter and fourth quarter will be the main ones that will really shed light on this. But from this price point, I think it's very very good to get in at this price point, and I'll explain why. So let me just go back to, I think this is a better chart, to be honest, than the other one. I was going to go on to this one here, but it's not amazing for a 5-day look. So if you look at the price action, so it comes down, and then it dips down, and we go below the $10 mark, right about there. And then, so this, remember with AMD's history, how does it work? The stock previously, when we saw it on, let me just do a 6-month chart just to illustrate this. So when we saw it go down here, yeah, it went down here, and then when it wanted to go back up, it had like a bounce, and I'll explain what we mean by a bounce. Okay, so normal routine for AMD is when it opens, it goes down, and then it comes back up. When it opens, it goes down, it comes back up. On the open, it's very prone to going down by 2 to 4%. If you go back and you look at all the daily charts, that's what you'll see. And it always does that pretty much, and then it comes back up. So let me just see if I can show you on a few others. So you can see it there, goes down, comes back up, goes down, comes back up. There it's down, going up. But generally, if you see it, goes down, comes back up. Yeah, opens up high, goes down, comes back up, goes down, comes back up. So I think I've done enough of that. But anyway, the point is that's what it does, right? So when it had this, so this is where it goes down below 10 again, and this is what I'm talking about. This isn't on the open, right? This is like in the midpoint. I saw this happen once before, and that happened where they wanted the stock to go up. Every time they want to jumpstart, it's like jumpstarting a car. When they want to jumpstart a stock, it'll have like in the middle of the day. Yeah, I've seen this only once before, so I mean you could say it's speculation, but really that's what I saw happen. So it dipped down, thinking what the hell, it's dipping down, and then it jumps back up and it starts building back upwards. Yeah, so that's what happened before. I think it was attempted here, didn't quite work because it was a Thursday, And I think the perception is, and everyone thought, that Friday will be a sell-off day, so why wait till Friday, sell off on Thursday, yeah. And then basically on Thursday, on Friday, sorry, it was down on the open. That's fine, because it's perceived to be a sell-off day, so it's going to be like that. But then towards the end, people are looking at Monday. They say, "Oh, I better buy in because Monday is normally an up day, right?" So it's an up day. So I think some of the people that did sell here on Thursday have come back in. So we lost about 2.7% and we gained about, that 0.89%. So we're still down by a couple of percent. I think those people are more cautious. So they're looking at Monday to see where it goes. So that's what they're seeing in the future. They're thinking Monday will be up and then hopefully we'll start the recovery in the stock. Me too. I think 10 is a strong support and they are trying to keep it above that, whoever it is. And the market really doesn't want it to go down below that. And you can see huge buying there, huge buying there. But that you can take with a pinch of salt because it was meant to have a bounce back. But this one, huge buying. And I say it goes up from here. I say in the future it goes up. And my time scale would be, you're looking at towards the end of the year where it'll really have any significant move upwards. That's my time frame. Now it could be sooner, but that's what I'm doing in my mind. I'm saying, okay, I'll go there. Now my plan was to take some profit, right? So since this happened, it wiped out all my profits, right? So before I would have been still in profit had it gone down to 12.5. So it wasn't a huge of an issue because I bought in at 11.6. It was a little bit of money, would have been still in profit, would have been fine. The one I was kicking myself about was I should have gone into Shopify, but it turns out I can't even invest in Shopify using my platform, the one I'm using. So it's a moot point. I can't use that. I don't trust any other platform at the moment because I haven't seen one that allows me to do it. So Shopify has been going up. It's up 85% from a year ago, I think, roughly. So I put it about 85% or maybe double, 100%, somewhere like that from January time. So I should have gone into that. That would have been better. I was thinking about doing half and half, but in the end, when I went on my platform, I couldn't do it anyway. So I'm leaving it alone. So I'm just longing this one. This one has a lot more upside coming for it, and I think it goes up from here. Now, if you look at the other part of this was the news stories. Okay, so this is right now, yeah, and I apologize, guys. This is turned into a longer video, but just the news stories as well. Remember, we talked about in the past where there's negative sentiment. So when the stock was down, we had the Goldman Sachs come out and say that the stock is worth, before they put a price target of 11 on there, now they were saying it's worth 10.6. That's Goldman Sachs' opinion, right? And when it started to go below that, everybody said it's oversold, right? So at around 10, it's oversold. And at that time, if you looked at this, it was all negative stories. Yeah, so it says AMD drops on weak earnings report. Should investors buy now? It's not a weak earnings report because they actually beat on revenues. They actually beat and they were in line with expectations. So it's not weak based on that. It's weak for those people who had an opinion that it's going to beat earnings. For them, it's weak. But for the majority of people who thought, there's no surprise in there because we expect it to be low, 11% lower revenues, they weren't surprised. It was fine. So basically, I mean, and the margin thing is not huge. It's 1%. Yeah, so from 34 to 33, not a huge thing. And they did say that it's going to go up in the future anyway. So for it to have a 24% drop didn't make any sense. But at the time, it was all negative news. People saying, well, it meets, I think it was somewhere around here, where strong buy, not that one. So it was about how AMD meets So there it says oversold, but it says how it meets reality. Yeah, it says AMD shake it off, but do not passcode, do not collect 200, so that's negative. So there was one story, I can't see it on here right now, but it says AMD meets reality, margins not rising. That was another one. So my point is, all the negative news starts coming in, people start jumping on the bandwagon. All the people who are in there who are expecting it to go up are now thinking, oh, it's not worth holding on to it, let's sell out, it's already falling. And there's a lot of panic selling as well. So all of that happens, and then the next day it's oversold, so it bounces back up. All the news stories, they support that. And then there's there's a buy dip and all that kind of stuff. And what was the other one? The other one, what was that? Yeah, so again, another news story, and that's negative. But people being cautious going into the weekend. And then towards the end of the week, it goes back up again because we have all positive news. So what did we have? We had buy the dip, which you saw on there, and this guy gives a full breakdown, and basically it just says that it doesn't make any sense. I'll just summarize it for you. Same thing what I said, doesn't make any sense that it goes down by so much, and that he thinks it goes back up. So there was that one. What else was there? This one, a phoenix rising from the ashes of Q1, again positive. So basically it's just saying Intel has hardware and major security flaws. And then we got this one here, strong buy. Again, AMD sold off spectacularly Tuesday after a company disappointed investors with its gross margin outlook, again by 1%. 1%. It's not all that bad, but I mean, it's just people overreact. So he says, nonetheless, Q1 2017 was a good quarter for the company. Investors are overreacting to gross margin guidance. Same thing as what I said. So it's all the same stuff. And then this was an interesting chart where it shows on average the stock price decline of AMD. If you look at it, May is a negative one. Yeah, so you got May, June, July, August. Yeah, so the next one will be in August. So that's normally higher. And then September is down. And then you got August, September, October, November is back up. November is always a huge, huge thing for AMD. So it goes up and up and up. So anyway, you can see from that, from what I was saying, that Q2, which is going to be the next one, it's not amazing. But then Q3 is where the real, push comes for the stock. And then you got Q4, where again, it really pushes it up. So that the back end of the year will be amazing, I think. But you can expect, I think there'll be some. Okay, guys, just lost my video for a minute. But anyway, back. So, like I was saying, back end of the year will be amazing. Okay, next thing that we're going to go on to just quickly, let's just have a look if I've missed anything, was the VR headsets. So basically, they're all the surprises. I want to just cover all the surprises quickly so you know what we haven't seen. So far we haven't seen Vega, which is a huge wild card. We don't know if it's going to beat expectations or what it's going to be like. That comes at the end of June. Then they bought this company for the wireless VR headsets, and they're using that technology now to partner with with the various people. So you got this article here saying ViaZoom announces AMD partnership and brings virtual reality fitness to gyms. So that's all positive. So we've got that partnership there, but there's so much more that they could do with that. I mean, they could license it out and make a ton of cash, if they get into trouble. This is one thing that people don't understand. They could definitely do that, or they could develop it themselves and get ahead of all the competition, because we don't know how good this chip is and how much of an edge they have by having this, but it's definitely an edge. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought the company, right? They must have seen some potential in it. The other one was the other big surprise was that they were building custom SoCs for like PlayStation and Xbox, but they're also doing it for one other company, and they haven't told anyone who that is. It's like a secret. So there's those what is it, surprises there. And then remember the earnings, yeah, in the past. If you really look at them, the reason why they were beats, they beat earnings, is because forward guidance is not set in stone. It's basically, I think it will be this in 3 months. I think this will happen. Even the gross margin said approximately 33%, approximately, because they can't be 100% sure. So when the actual things materialize, when you see what's going on, it can be a different story. And I think they'll do well, right? Because previously in Q2 they did well, right? But I think last year was like they had super low expectations. People expected them to go bankrupt. So I'm not gonna really go off that. I think it's not fair. But anyway, I think going forward, they have a good chance of beating expectations, and the back end of the year will be good. Anyway, guys, I apologize for the video being so long. I hope this was helpful to you guys. Don't give up on it. Stick on it. Long it, and things will be okay. What I'm saying is, another thing I was talking to someone about was what the other strategies are that people use, when they're trading these stocks. And normally people buy on the way down. So every time a stock drops like this, if you had a chunk of cash, you'd buy, yeah. And then if it fell down more, you'd buy more, and so on and so forth. So when it goes up, you make money. And there was somebody on the chat board that was saying, I just remortgaged my house and bought AMD at this price, right? Because he's that confident that it's going to go up. So that's one of the ways people do it, where they buy on the dips, they buy when it goes down. So that shows me, that everyone believes it's going to go up in the longer term. And I think you make money anyway. You'll be fine. I think $11, $12 is doable in the short to medium term. That's 3 to 4 months. But then beyond that, if you want any serious gains, that mean I'm break even. But if you want any serious gains, then you're looking at towards the end of the year and early next year for that kind of stuff. And I think it's a good one to hold for the longer term as well beyond that, and you make money out of it, because it's like an excess stock. It's like when people wanted to, there's a gold rush and people wanted to go dig for gold. The one who really got rich was the guy selling the shovels. And this is that, one of those stocks where when people want to do driverless cars and they want to do VR, because Facebook is also doing VR, remember that, they're going to have some good announcements in 2018, which means again that'll put focus on AMD again, because they have that company. So everything that people are going to be doing in the future, these processes, these components are going to be used. And if you don't think AMD has credibility, if anybody says they don't have credibility, I'll say this much: Elon Musk, the guy who has Tesla Motors and has SpaceX, does rockets for space, he said, and I quote, he said, it's a very tough decision between Nvidia and AMD when it comes for chips for driverless cars. But for now, we're sticking with Nvidia because Nvidia is supplying them all the chips. But he said it's very tough because the technology is very, very similar, on par. Just the price point is cheaper, is less with AMD. But again, because I think once they become profitable, they're consistently profitable. So they start at the end of this year, they become profitable, and then beyond that, they're consistently profitable. Once people see that and companies see that, they'll jump on board and make more and more partnerships with them and say, hey, we can do this. Another point was, which I forgot to mention before, was that in the earnings call they said, once they start launching these new CPUs, so you'll have the Ryzen 3 that's coming out, you have the GPU which is coming out, the Vega GPU. When those come out, and Naples as well, beyond that you'll see their partners announcing products. So they're already doing it with, I think with Acer, they're announcing, and Lenovo is announcing laptops and PCs and so on. But later on you'll see other partners do that, and I think that will be a surprise to the market. I think that's where the hype will start again, that'll be the genesis of a new hype cycle, let's say, and then moving forward, things will get better from there. But anyway, guys, it's been a long video. I hope you have a great weekend, and take care of yourselves. And if you like the video, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you guys. And we're all in it together right now. I mean, I have not only my own money stuck in this, but other people's money as well. And it is disappointing what's happened, but we all expect it to go back up. We all expect it to do well in the longer term, and that's why we're holding it. I was never a short-term trader, right? My minimum length was about 3 months. I mean, people could say that short to medium term anyway, but that's what it was, 3 months minimum. But really, I'm looking at a year. My initial thing was that I wanted to hold this stock for a year, because last year I didn't hold it for a year, and look at what happened. It went up by 400%. So I expected it to go up to, I still expect it to go up to 17 to 20. Still have that opinion, and I want to hold it for a year and see it go there, see it realize that at least $17. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. See you later. Bye bye.